Some good news this morning on the electricity front. No power cuts during the day at the moment. Of course, stage 3 still kicking in from 4 o'clock every afternoon. So apart from the generation challenge the power utility has, Eskom, of course, is also owed billions of rands. Many municipalities have not paid what they owe. And they owe Eskom a combined total of over 63 billion rand and counting. But there is a deal on the table to at least recoup some of those costs. Let's find out more with Jean de la Harpe, Portfolio Head of Trading Services at SALGA. That's the SA Local Government Association. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, 63 billion rand in debt, and it just keeps spiraling. Realistically, is Eskom ever going to recoup all that money?
Thank you, Sally, and good evening to your listeners, and thank you for having us to speak on this topic this evening. Yes, it is a huge problem, and that's a very valid question. The problem underlying the debt to Eskom and indeed water boards and the water trading entity is that municipalities themselves are owed in the region of 300 billion. And that money is not going to be easily collected. And that is the fundamental challenge facing municipalities.
I mean, that's another even more eye-watering amount. What's at the heart of it? Is it an unwillingness to pay for services, or is it more about corruption and bad management at municipal level?
I think it's a whole range of factors. I think from COVID times, we have really seen a downturn in the economy, deteriorating economic circumstances with unemployment. We've also seen an increasing number of people that qualify for free basic services, which is a financial drain on municipal finances. But we also have problems such as tariffs that are not cost reflective, and of course the culture of non-payment. So if we look at, for example, revenue losses across all municipal distributors, about 73% of that is households. So it's very difficult to collect.
Yeah, so collection is a huge problem. And of course, it becomes a bit of a vicious cycle, because if you can't bring the money in, not only are you racking up debts with Eskom, but you also don't have money to do the maintenance, which means that often residents are not only facing load shedding, but they're facing extended outages because there isn't money for parts, or there aren't enough people to come and fix the problems. So it just gets worse and worse. But there is a deal on the table with Eskom, and it seems to me that Eskom's being quite pragmatic, because it seems to involve a writing off of a certain amount of the debt. I wonder if you could take us through that.
Yes, well, in fact, this is a debt relief package that's been put together by National Treasury, not by Eskom as such. And the idea is to write off the municipal debt to Eskom that we know is not really recoverable. And in so doing, each municipality firstly has to apply to qualify for the debt relief. And the idea is, once you've qualified, you have to comply with a whole range of conditions, which are designed to ensure good financial management. So, for example, municipalities need to adopt a funded budget. They need to put proper metering systems in place. We're looking at prepaid meters. They need to start really collecting revenue, improving their services, and paying their current accounts. That's one of the conditions. They must pay their Eskom current account.
And my understanding is if they can get that right for 12 months, they will have a third of their debt wiped clean. Is that right?
Yes, thanks, Sally. Every year, a third of the debt gets written off. And that means over the 36 months, they need to comply with those conditions. Many of the conditions are already in the Municipal Financial Management Act. So they're not new conditions that are being imposed on municipalities. However, those municipalities will still face the almost intractable problems that they were facing to get into this position in the first place. And I think lack of affordability, the culture of non-payment, vandalism of infrastructure. We did a study on load shedding, and across our electricity distributors, we've estimated they're losing 10.8 billion rand a year in unserved energy. So there are multiple reasons that are contributing to this problem. There are also some structural and systemic challenges that we've been tackling in the intergovernmental space. Municipalities' revenue is, much of their revenue is dependent on electricity, as we all know. And the assumption was that they would be the main distributors across the country. But in fact, they are distributing less than 40% of our electricity. So there's some assumptions in the financial model that also need to be addressed.
So, yes, exactly, because if someone hasn't been paying, whether because they can't pay or they're getting it through some sort of circuitous route that's not legal, how is a municipality, even if they want to take advantage of this debt relief package, going to be able to get people to pay suddenly? So I hear what you're saying. Nevertheless, I want to know, within SALGA, has there been a lot of interest in perhaps trying to tackle the debt? And if so, are the municipalities in the main the big metros that are considering this package? Or is it the smaller towns that are going, you know what, this is something we'd like to do to clear our debt?
Yeah, it is more the smaller towns, and it's the municipalities that are struggling with all their services. It's not just electricity. They're struggling to pay their water debt. They're struggling to pay a whole lot of other creditors. And in some cases, we're asking ourselves whether those municipalities will ever be financially viable. If they are unable to run a sustainable electricity distribution service, will anybody else be able to come and run that service when they're faced with the same challenges that the municipalities are faced with? But I think the first step is this debt relief package with the conditions, with saying, let's get our financial management and processes back on track. Let's do it with the support of SALGA, of National Treasury, of COGTA, of the sector departments as well. Let's all work together. National Treasury is certainly giving a lot of support to municipalities in their applications. The conditions are very stringent. Municipalities are very concerned that they're not going to be able to meet those conditions. But I think there's a willingness on all sides to try and solve this problem and really start working on solutions. And so, for example, rolling out prepaid meters is one of the solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for that. Clearly an issue that is going to take a lot of discussion and planning and cooperation. 63 billion rand is what municipalities as a combined total owe Eskom currently. Jean de la Harpe, Portfolio Head of Trading Services at SALGA. That's the SA Local Government Association. Thanks so much for your time.